Hey guys, the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for November 28, 2024. This is our Week 13 Fantasy Football Rundown show. As you can see, I am flying solo right now. It is the day before Thanksgiving. We planned to have Kenny on, but Kenny, unfortunately, there was a family medical situation on his end. Hope everything's okay. He might be able to pop in. He said once he ggets home, he'll be free. But I don't know when that is, and I haven't heard from him for a while. So it's kind of why I'm starting late. But yeah, let's hope everything's okay on Kenny's end. But yeah, we're just gonna do what we usually do here is run through all the games from last week, talk about the fantasy performers, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'll try to answer that or questions about anything really, because that's how we do when we fly solo here. So please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description of the merch store. As you can see here, I'm wearing a navy blue Walter football t-shirt as part of our winter collection here, which you can get at the merch store. 25% off sale right now. And I'm still happy to see that the Bucker was right apron and the Squirrel Lives Matter t-shirt are still there. I suspect they're going to be eliminated sooner or later. They keep taking those down. But for now, you can get them with 25% off. So pretty good deal overall. Or you go to Amazon, buy my books, Jerks of the College Years. I wrote this book recently or earlier this year, and it's just me basically making fun of people I saw around Penn State. As I spent 6 years there, so I had a lot of material. Also, how the 2020 MVP was stolen, how Brett Favre tried to sabotage Aaron Rodgers, and then also please consider super chats, super stickers. You guys know the deal by now. Like these YouTube ads pay absolutely nothing. Like there was one show we had, it was like a few weeks ago, where we had no super chats or super stickers. We made 19 cents. It's so bad. Like I could just, I make this joke all the time. I could walk outside, find like a quarter on the street, and it's like, hey, I outgained what I would make on here. So I mean, we've had some great ones recently. John Sanders, Drew Fascio, Cam Eagle, Jesse Cintron, Slew. You guys have been so generous with your contributions. So any further help would be appreciated. Also, I got confirmation that Andy will be on tomorrow night, or I guess technically later today after Thanksgiving. Like 15, 20 minutes after that the Thanksgiving game's over, the Packers Lions game, Packers Dolphins game, we're going to go live with our Thursday thoughts. So looking forward to that. And Evan was joking that like we're going to be the only show airing then. So hopefully that leads to more viewership. But John asking Njoku or Laporta this week. So let's see here. So for Njoku, he plays the Broncos. So it's not a great matchup, but it's not a bad one either. I have him projected for 9 points. And then for Laporta, I also have him projected for 9 points. So the tiebreaker, I feel like I would go with Laporta, just because Amon-Ra St. Brown's a little bit banged up. Plus, you get to watch that game early rather than sweat out late. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but it's so close. There's not much separation between the two this week. But like I said, I think the St. Brown injury now, he's going to play, but like if he's not 100%. It is somewhat of a tougher matchup against Kyler Gordon with the Bears. So the Lions like attacking the middle of the field, and if St. Brown is covered well, they might go to Laporta instead. So and plus the Bears, they allow some yardage to tight ends, not a lot, but I think that Laporta could get there, could get into the end zone. I trust the Lions offense more than the Browns offense. I guess that's what it comes down to most. I think Winston's going to really struggle, especially off that win. Whereas the Lions, I have to think that they know that they have to win this game. They don't have to win this game, but like based on what happened last year, they're going to hear it from their fans if they don't. So I think that we're going to see a better effort from them than the Browns. But then again, of course, there could be garbage time for Njoku. But I think I'd go Laporta. I might bump him up to 10 points instead of 9. when I redo my rankings tonight. I'll have my updated rankings tomorrow morning. And we have I posted player prop bets and same game parlays for all 3 games, and I also have a mega parlay, a mega Thanksgiving parlay. It's $20. It pays out $3,100. So it's I don't expect it to hit, but it'll be fun to root in, and hopefully we get to game 2 at least. It's not just over for game 1. I'm not going to reload it for game 2. Just thought I'd have some fun. Just maybe sweat it out on the night game. It'd be pretty. We only have like 2 legs on the night game, so if we make it to the night game, I'm definitely gonna be sweating it out and maybe try in the middle. Yeah, I just didn't want to ask a tight end question with Kenny not here. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, I hope everything's okay with Kenny because he said earlier in the evening he said he was gonna come on later, but I haven't heard from him in a couple hours now. Where I texted him the link to this at 10:30, and it's almost 12:30 now, so yeah, hopefully everything's okay. All right, let's get into the games from last week. We had Browns 24, Steelers 19. It was like an eon ago where this game happened. I don't know why. I know it's only like 6 days, but it still feels like it's much longer for some reason. I don't know why. So here we had Nick Chubb kind of break our hearts. We had the Nick Chubb under, what was it, 51 rushing yards or 49? Forget what it was. And he was sitting at like 2 yards behind that for a long time. And the Browns were throwing, so he wasn't even in the game. It was Jerome Ford because they had to go for it. Jerome Ford, the better receiving back at this point right now. And it was so frustrating because the Browns converted a 4th down, then a 3rd down. The Steelers had that shank, and like suddenly the Browns found themselves in the red zone. And I was like, oh, they're gonna put Chubb back in, and of course, like they put him back in, and then he rips off a 7-yarder and loses it for us. But Chubb 20 of 59 for 2 touchdowns. He just doesn't look quite right yet, which is expected. I think he'll be maybe back to 100% next year. But this year, I mean, there's a reason why I just didn't bother with him. It's a tough matchup this week, so I would not bother with Chubb. Jerry Jeudy was 6 for 85, but he's going to probably go against Patrick Surtain this week with Tillman out. And then with Steelers, very, very odd play calling. Shout out to Arthur Smith in the 4th quarter. So Russell Wilson had a decent game. But then they inserted Justin Fields to take a deep shot to one of the receivers. It just didn't make any sense because Wilson's better at that. Like I don't, especially in the snow. Like why would you do that? It made no sense. Jalen Warren outgained Najee Harris, so shout out to Kenny. Good job with that one. Kenny is all over Jalen Warren, of course. I think Calvin Austin 3 for 78 and touchdown. He's not someone I would ever recommend for weekly fantasy. But for daily fantasy contests, like on DraftKings and FanDuel, I think like if you're in large field contests, contests with 100,000 people or more, 50,000 people or more, it makes sense to play these guys, these boomer bust guys, because if they boom, or assuming they're low ownership, if they boom, you're going to have such a big advantage over the field. And if they bust, like you could still probably cash. But like that's probably the easiest way to get there. These Calvin Austins or these Marquez Valdez-Scantlings or Kavonte Turpin, like these guys who are cheap and probably not highly owned, and they have a lot of potential because they could break one at any point. And if you had Calvin Austin, you won the showdown, no question about it. And like I said, I don't know what his ownership was, but I imagine it was pretty low. So. Yeah, and conversely, if you think there's going to be high ownership, I would not play them just because like then they probably burn most of the field and you get an edge that way. So just something to keep in mind there. So let's get to the next game. We have Chiefs 30, Panthers 27. So Patrick Mahomes had one of his best fantasy performances of the year, 269 and 3 touchdowns. And yet it still wasn't enough to cover against the Panthers. The Panthers played really good defense in the second half where they were able to collapse the pocket. DJ Wanham being back for Carolina is just such a big deal. Noah Gray, 4 for 66 and 2 touchdowns. Is he the successor for Travis Kelce? Maybe. But yeah, Carolina is so weak to tight ends. So just something to keep in mind going forward for props. And it's like Kelsey also had 6 for 62. Like the two leading receivers were both tight ends. And Mahomes had 60 rushing yards, which like you normally wouldn't see against the Panthers. It's kind of bizarre to see that, to be frank. But I don't know if he's going to do that every week. At least, well, come playoff time he will. But Kareem Hunt, 16 for 68. This might be the last time where we're going to see him start this year, or maybe ever. Isaiah Pacheco should be back this week. We'll see. Actually, let me look at that. I didn't look at the Chiefs. This Chiefs Raiders injury report. I did for the Thanksgiving games, but I didn't do that for the Black Friday game. Pacheco full both days, so good sign for him playing. I assume he's going to play. So anyway, we have David Moore. When I saw D Moore for the Panthers go 6 for 81 and touchdown, my immediate reaction was, oh, DJ Moore, good game. It's like, wait a second, no, he's not there anymore. It's David Moore, who has played in several locations under Dave Canales. But that's not something you're going to want to expect again. Adam Thielen, though, 357. It's nice to see him back. Jatavian Sanders is having a good game, 3 of 49, but he had a scary injury where he was taken off on a stretcher. Fortunately, it sounds like it was not a big deal. And I don't know if he's going to be able to play this week, but I would probably guess not. But it sounds like it wasn't that serious, thankfully. So I have something to say, and it might be the most scandalous, controversial, most hated statement in the history of the Walter Football After Dark show. I hate the Thanksgiving NFL games, not this year in particular, always. But John says it beats talking to family. Well, Cassandra, tell us why you don't like these Thanksgiving games. Personally, I wish they would go back to the 2 games and not have a game at night. I don't know, because for me, what we always did when we would, I always have dinner at my parents' house. And so what we used to do is they would wait until the Dallas game was over, and then we'd have dinner. And it was late, sure, but I got to eat dinner with everyone and talk to people. And then now I don't get to do that anymore. It's the second game's over, I rush to get some food, and then I eat in front of the TV by myself. And so everyone else is at the dinner table talking about stuff, and I get what John's saying about hey, it beats talking to family. But I never get to talk to family just because I always have during the holidays I always have football. The Christmas, now there's always football. Thanksgiving, there's always football. Halloween, is usually football. It's usually tends to fall on Monday or Thursday. So I don't really get to talk to anyone. And so yeah, it's kind of I always hear people having political conversations and stuff, and obviously you have people on both sides of the aisle in the family, and I hear someone say something and I want to rush over and be like, no, you're wrong, but no, I'm working and watching football in the third game, preparing for the third game. So yeah, I don't really get to do that anymore. So yeah, so I miss doing that, but I still have fun watching the games too. Let's see. It's too little time to handicap 3 games in the short week. I agree, and I'm so busy with everything else leading up to them during the week, them and after. When Trump buys Greenland, there will be a 4th Thanksgiving game there to start the day. I could see that. That would be an incredible home field advantage. I think it's 15 degrees there right now. Which everyone's saying, oh, Miami or Green Bay is gonna be so cold. Think about Greenland. But yeah, I imagine Goodell is just waiting to put a team there. He knows he wants to do it. I'm baking right now. F baking. I hate baking. I am terrible at baking, but these stupid things need to be done. Or just get it catered or something and pretend you made it or something. It's I remember that Miss Doubtfire Robin Williams screws up the dinner plans for the first time, and so he orders stuff, and then the mom's impressed because he thinks that Mrs. Doubtfire made the meal. Just do that and pretend to be hey, I made this. I swear. So just do that. All right, let's get to the next game here. We have Vikings 30, Bears 27. Our second 30-27 game. there's also like a 30-26 game or something where there's a missed extra point, or something. Or no, it was, it, maybe it was the Redskins Cowboys game, but yeah, there were a bunch of like 30-27 games, which is unusual. But anyway, so with the Vikings, Sam Darnold, bounce back game for him. Second week in a row, like he had a stretch where he was throwing a lot of interceptions, and he stopped doing that. Aaron Jones, he went over the 100-yard mark. We had him over rushing yards, so it was nice to hit that one. He fumbled when he had like 50 rushing yards. I was worried that they were going to bench him, but luckily they kept him in there. Jordan Addison had a monster game, 8 for 162 and a touchdown. Also Hawkinson, 7 for 114. A lot of people worried about Justin Jefferson, 2 for 27. He fell. I always do best ball drafts. Like he was falling until like the mid to late first round, whereas like he usually would go like second or third. So I scooped him up in one of the drafts. I would expect that he'd bounce back. If you can still make trades, and maybe his fantasy owners worried about him, it's someone I would target. But I imagine that the trade deadlines are over in your league. For the Bears, Caleb Williams, second good game for him. 32 of 47, 340, 2 touchdowns. Second game after they fired the coordinator. He also ran for 33 rushing yards. I like him over rushing yards against the Lions. It's one of the 4 legs in the parlay. So yeah, he's playing better, but he did take a bad sack in overtime, and it was like a 9-yard sack. Like you just can't do that. That basically ended the game. So he still has that issue where he holds the ball way too long in the pocket. I assume that they'll find a good coordinator slash head coach next year to help him out in that regard. So yeah, I mean, I still wouldn't be too down on him. I think he has amazing potential. Here we have DJ Moore, 7 for 106 and a touchdown. He beat the other D Moore. Keenan Allen, though, 9 for 86 in the touchdown. I like him as well over receiving yards. The Lions give up a lot of production to the slot. Cole Kmet, 7 for 64. Rome Odunze, 539. Like, there's going to be games where like Odunze goes off and then Allen doesn't do much or Moore doesn't do much and vice versa. It's tough to project these guys. I think Cole Kmet's probably the easiest to project because like tight ends are so dependent on the matchup. But still, it's tough. I still would be comfortable starting DJ Moore every week, and I kind of wonder what Kenny has to say about Keenan Allen because I know he has him in our league that we're in together, and I know he was really frustrated with Allen. He didn't cut him because I probably would have scooped him up, in our history there, but I don't think he played Keenan Allen this week. Although I still think Kenny won. I'm not sure though. The Walt just misgender of Mrs. Doubtfire live on stream. So Mrs. Doubtfire was, it's a man pretending to be a woman, right? So you would, the woke thing is to call Mrs. Doubtfire a woman, she, her, but in reality, it's a he, him. So I don't know. I think I did misgender according to reality, but then I corrected myself. So I don't know where I guess I don't know. Maybe I'll be canceled. I just can't get canceled. I love how they try to cancel me over the comment I made about the woman shouldn't be voting thing like that. I was like, I was just like joking. I was semi joking, and then these people were so angry about it. And I actually I almost replied to the original quote. I was like, I only meant cat ladies. Childless cat ladies in cities. I just let it go because I thought it was hilarious. I had people replying to me on Twitter and going, "Yeah, your career is over." I'm like, what? This completely disappeared with 5 days. Within 5 days, not a peep about that ever again. These people are insane. They're like a swarm of wasps. They attack something and then they get distracted and they go somewhere else. You just have to wait it out and just don't let it bother you because these people are so stupid. So yeah, they're just like mindless drones. Yeah, I actually lost one affiliate deal from that. I might delve into that later, but at another time because I don't want to say anything now because I might have future stuff with them going on. But I lost one affiliate deal, but it didn't end up mattering because there's like several companies who do the same thing, and I just joined with another company and they didn't care. So it's just so stupid. Redskins logo is back, but probably not their name. Yeah, I think so. I think that's where they're going with it. But I think at this trajectory, we're going to see the name come back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the name come back permanently at some point. Not next year, but in the future. I think this woke garbage is done. It's absolutely done. John says I never got the benching your best running back for fumbling concept. I'm pretty sure the running back knows he effed up. Yeah. Here's a crazy concept. Maybe the coach could fix the fumbling problem. Like remember Tom Coughlin fixed Tiki Barber's fumbling problem? Like maybe the coach could get involved and fix the issue. Like maybe there's an issue with how the running back's holding the ball. Like Tiki used to hold the ball like this. He started doing it, and then he never fumbled under Coughlin. So will you be cooking up a singing probably for Chiefs Raiders rematch? Yes. Yeah, I'll post it. What time is that game anyway? If it's a night game, I will post it Friday afternoon. If it's an afternoon game, then I'll post it tomorrow night at some point. Let me see. Where do I even find that? Let's see. What time is the Chiefs Raiders game? It is 3:00. Okay, so it's 3:00 on Friday. It's so awkward time. Why 3:00 Friday? Anyway, so I will. I'll post that after the Packers Dolphins game. Maybe before Andy and I start recording. It depends how long Andy's going to be. Like sometimes I'll send him the link and he'll go like, "Hey, I need I'm wrapping up stuff here," because he does a show on like Las Vegas radio, and he'll be like, "I need 20 minutes." I'm like, "Okay." So if he says that, then I'll do that, and I'll probably just do the research too during the game. But if he's on right away, then we'll do it after the show. But yeah, given that it's 3:00, then I'll do it Thursday night. But yes, we will definitely have singing parlay and stuff for that. All right, let's get to Cowboys 34, Redskins 26. Actually, these logos need to be flipped. I just saw that. So this is a really disappointing game for the Redskins. I theorized about this last night where I said, the Redskins probably had a watch party on Monday night for that Cowboys game, and they were probably laughing at Dallas the whole time against Houston. And they probably thought, hey, we could just show up and we'll win this game easily. And they made so many mistakes in this game. They just didn't look like they were invested in it. They just thought they were going to win. And, like really, they almost did. If stupid Austin Seibert hits the extra point, then they go to overtime, potentially. So, yeah, I mean, they're not going to cover, but still they could probably win. And probably for the best for them that they lost. They're still going to make the playoffs. And maybe it serves as a wake-up call. And I do like him against Tennessee. But anyway, Jane Daniels, his stats look great. He did awesome in DFS. Like I had him in a lineup that cashed. But he was just not good in real life. Although he did end up rushing for 74 yards. I think at some point the rib injury is going to take care of itself. I think he's going to be healthy at some point. May not be this week, but I can't imagine that he's going to be worse this week. So we'll see. I'd rather be early than late, though. It reminds me, I was early on GameStop, for example. Like I was buying GameStop on July 2020 for like $3.89 a share. And like for months, like it barely moved. And then eventually it did. And I'd rather buy the Redskins, cheap now at -5.5, for example, than wait for them to dominate. And then you're going to get them at a bad price. But with the running back situation, sounds like Robinson and Eckler could both miss this game. And then it'll be Jeremy McNichols, who I would not recommend in DFS because Tennessee is great against the run. Although Terry McLaurin would look good, 5 for 1 and 2 and a touchdown. Noah Brown's an option in DFS, 6 for 71, but not too high on that. I think there's some better, cheaper options. For Dallas, Cooper Rush, I heard the stat that his release time in this game was faster than any other quarterback in the NFL. Or not release time per se, but like the amount of time he held the ball in the pocket. Like he just like got rid of the ball super quickly. That's all he did the entire game. And, it worked. And I think Dallas had to do it because they were missing Tyler Smith and Zach Martin, and the rest of their offensive line is not any good. So they negated the Washington pass rush by doing that. And like every play, it was like 6-yard gain, 6-yard gain, 6-yard gain. That's all they were doing the whole time, just like methodically moving the ball down the field. And really, I mean, really, like they scored 34, but it was really only like 13. Space they had 2 special teams touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but it was what 13-10 for a while, or 13-7. I can't remember, whatever the score was. I don't think this is going to work. Against a team that's going to be focused. I assume the Giants are going to be focused. I don't really know, but if they are, I don't think this is going to really work against them because any penalty just ruins the drive when you think and duck like that. CeeDee Lamb 10 for 67. This is what he is now. He's like a glorified Wan'Dale Robinson with the terrible quarterbacking, which is a shame if you drafted him. This is what you're going to get. Rico Dowdle, though, 19 for 86. I like him over rushing yards against the Giants, who are terrible against the run. Let's get to the next game. The Buccaneers 30, Giants 7. I thought that this was a pretty easy one to call because Tommy DeVito against Todd Bowles just way too much of a disadvantage. And sounds like DeVito is going to be out for this game. Coming up, it's going to be Drew Lock, who sadly is an upgrade. It's like Drew Lock doesn't get to say that too often. Hey, I'm better than you. So he will be. Tyron, I'm curious to see what the Giants do with Tyrone Tracy. I've been drafting Devin Singletary late in best ball this week. It's because Tracy fumbled twice, and eventually the coaching staff might say enough's enough, although they may just want to see what they have in Tracy and not bench him. But I think Singletary has a chance to take some carries here. So I like Trey. If you told me Tracy is going to play the full game and not get benched, I would actually love him against Dallas. Their Dallas's run defense is weak, and Tracy would have a great matchup. But I just don't trust him to stay on the field the entire time. That's why I was drafting Singletary. It's like 14th, 15th round in best ball. Malik Neighbors 6 for 64. Like he just gets peppered with targets, and he was complaining about not getting the ball in the first half. So I feel like they're going to go to him a lot this week. But that's really that's all you can say about the Giants. Buccaneers look great. Mayfield was awesome. He got dinged up toward the end, but sounds like he's okay. Bucky Irving was the star here. 12 for 87 and a touchdown compared to Rashad White, 12 for 37 and a touchdown. Usually rookies get a bump during the bye week or after the bye week, and Irving just had his bye week, and lo and behold, he had his amazing performance, a lot better than White. So he's definitely the running back to own here. That was apparent, but like now it's like 100% apparent. And Mike Evans 5 for 68. He played about half the snaps, or maybe like slightly more than half the snaps. So he's going to have his workload increased. Bad news for Kate Otten. Not awful news because Chris Godwin's still out, but like Otten's not going to have these monster games in most instances. Although I do like him this week. What are the odds Purdy and Dobbins will, I assume, play? Dobbins, I think, is out this week, and I saw him. He's week to week. Unfortunately, sorry if you have him on your fantasy team. I have him on a bunch of best ball teams, so those are cooked. All right, good for the playoffs. So Dobbins is week to week. We have 2 weeks left until the playoffs. So I think he'll come back at some point. Like, I don't think it's a guarantee he's going to play in the first round, but second round, I think there's a really good chance he will. But I would say right now 50-50. I think with Purdy, it's so tough because the Niners are so dishonest with their injuries. You just can't trust them at all. Kyle Shanahan said that Christian McCaffrey had a calf injury in August, and he had not just one Achilles injury, he had 2 Achilles injuries that kept him out the half the season. And remember, he was questionable heading into the Monday night game against the Jets. Like, they listed him as questionable. He didn't play for 9 weeks after that. Like, you can't trust anything they say. Shanahan said that Purdy looked good, I think, in light passing. That could mean that his arm was falling off, and we wouldn't know. Like, so he was limited today. I have a feeling he's not going to play this week. But just by the way, why we bet the Bills today? One of the reasons. But for the playoffs, I think that he will probably be back But like I said, it's so hard to trust them, only because I'm sitting in second trying to retain my bye week as well. Yeah. Um, yeah, well, I mean, good luck with that. It's a tough situation. I would trust Dobbins more at this point because like the Chargers don't really lie about this stuff. Or I guess maybe they do, but like not to the degree the Niners do. And something to keep in mind about the Niners: Trent Williams is not healthy at all. Like he was using a scooter to get around in practice, um, and you know, it's just a really bad sign if Trent Williams can't play. He's their best player, and when he's not on the field, that offense gets so much worse. I told you what it was a calf injury. Nice. That's it. Should I pivot to Stafford instead because I have Puka too? Um, I would play Stafford. Yeah, I would play Stafford over Purdy this week. Yeah, a good matchup too, so you don't have to worry about that. Purdy could either play this week or in 2026. Yeah, seriously, that's what it is. You misheard, not his fault. Yeah, I know, right? Would you start Waddle or Reed? Thanks in advance. I think I would start Jaden Reed. I don't trust Tua in the cold. And it's going to be, somewhat windy. It's going to be 21 degrees, I think. So yeah, and plus with Jaden Reed, you have Romeo Dubs out, so the targets and stuff like that's going to be condensed. So it's kind of like, well, I love Tucker Kraft, by the way, tomorrow night, or tonight. But yeah, I mean, Reed looks better with Romeo Dubs out, so I would start him. Plus, Waddle's so inconsistent, you just don't know what to expect. Is it JSN's time to be a league winner? Hopefully, yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, he looks really good. I like him a lot coming out of Ohio State. Like I was confused about why the Packers didn't draft him. I think it was like 14 or something. But yeah, he fell. Seattle got him, and yeah, I like him quite a bit. Doug is out. Dubs is out for sure. Need Josh Jacobs to go nuclear. It's a tough matchup. So on the ground, it might be tough, but he could get there in the air, though. The Dolphins allow they had a string of games where they allowed 5 receptions to running backs. So Jacobs could get there as a receiver. So hopefully you're talking about PPR. But Miami's run defense has been awesome. I don't think they've been allowed more than 62 rushing yards to any running back since October 6th, I think. So it's been a while. Maybe Jacobs will get there. Maybe they'll freeze in the cold and he'll break that trend. He's good. He could definitely do it. But it is a tough matchup to head into the game. Not that I would bench him or anything, but it's not an ideal situation. All right, so let's get to speaking of the Dolphins, 34-15. We had this is a stupid pick on my part. I really regret this one. So Drake May was so bad. The Patriots offensive line May wasn't that bad. So the Patriots offensive line was horrible. Their left tackle had 4 penalties in this game, and the right tackle got benched. That's what kind of shape their offensive line is in. Drake May made some good plays in this game, but mostly he just didn't have a chance. So I can't wait to see him with a better offensive line. Hunter Henry continued to be productive, 5 for 44. I like tight ends going against Miami, which again, Tucker Kraft only is receiving props only 31.5, I believe, tonight, and I think that's so low. When I was heading into the game, I was like, I like Kraft, assuming the number's not bad. Let me look at the number. I expected 40.5. I saw 31.5. I was shocked. I love Kraft. I love any tight end against Miami. As far as Miami's concerned, Devon Achane continues to get lots of targets here, although 3 for 24 is kind of low for him, but he did score 2 touchdowns. I expect that to positively regress. Jonnu Smith, though, 9 for 87 and a touchdown. The teams are just they're taking away the deep stuff, and the Dolphins have said, hey, you're going to take away the deep stuff. We're just going to throw the ball to Achane and Jonnu Smith, and that's what they've been doing. And then Jalen Waddle finally got involved, 8 for 144 and a touchdown. You see his potential, and it feels like the Dolphins kind of forgot about him. Maybe it's because Mike McDaniel was just worried about getting Alec Ingold the ball. So yet Alec Ingold was not playing, by the way, which it's kind of a coincidence, right? So Tyreek Hill is the one issue here. Like he just hasn't had his ceiling game since week one. 5 for 48. And yeah, I mean, he looks like he has lost a step. He has that wrist injury. He is an older player now. He had that arrest heading into week one. A lot of stuff with him. Plus, like in the offseason, he impregnated like 20 women or something, whatever it was. By the way, I have to do a 2045 NFL mock draft with like all Tyreek Hill's kids in it. So, but anyway, like it's hard to trust him. And, in these best ball drafts I'm doing, Tyreek Hill's falling to the third round. And I'm like, sometimes I take him there and sometimes I don't. It's just like not exciting. And he doesn't hit his ceiling, which is like you need in best ball. So I am passing on him sometimes. McBride over Taysom. It's so hard to project Taysom Hill as long as the two receivers are out. He has the potential to go off. So it's really tough to bench him. I have McBride over Taysom in my rankings. I have Taysom McBride at 14 points and Taysom at 13. But it's so close, and Taysom has. I would say Taysom has more upside because he gets rushing yards at the goal line. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for upside, I think it comes down to this: if you're looking for upside, and if your opponent is in better shape and you think you need a monster week, then I would go with Taysom. If you're favored to win and you just need safety, I'd go McBride because Taysom could like not do anything. He's kind of like that player. He's all hit or miss. So. 34, quote unquote, 15. yeah. The 15 points against the bench players. I was hoping, like, at that point, I was like, oh man, maybe they'll get the backdoor cover. But no, they reinserted their starters, sadly. What are the odds Brees plays? I was not aware. So I have not gotten to the injury reports yet. I did the Thursday injury reports. So I was going to do that after the show. Brees Hall was DNP on Wednesday. Interesting. I have so much Braylon Allen in best ball. It's hopefully I don't want to root for injury, but like that would really benefit me. But I haven't heard anything on this, so I mean your guess is as good as mine right now. But I'm just keep in mind. I know it's tough. Like here's another reason to hate the Thanksgiving games. Like you probably have to make a decision on this, right? So I mean it really depends on how good your other options are and how good your options are for the Thursday games. So it's a tough situation. I really don't like these games either. So I don't mind like one or two, but when you get to now 4 before Sunday, it's kind of ridiculous. Thoughts on receiver 3, Waddle or DeAndre Hopkins? I think Watt. I do think Waddle. I think Waddle's more upside, but there is major downside here because the weather is going to be bad. But with Hopkins, it feels like there's not much upside. So it is against the Raiders, though. Actually, you know what? I think I take that back. I think I'd go Hopkins or Waddle. It's close though. It's really close. So yeah, I would go Hopkins. Raiders defense sucks. Bucky or Chase Brown. I would go. Bucky Irving looks great. Bucky I have projected for 18 fantasy points. Chase Brown I have projected for 17 fantasy points. But it's a better matchup, for Bucky Irving. The Panthers' run defense is awful, and the Steelers' run defense is great. Now, Chase Brown's going to get a lot of targets and stuff. Bucky Irving will too. But I think if the Bengals are behind, like Chase Brown's going to get a lot of receptions. So that's why I have it close. But actually, probably should alter Bucky Irving's projections to get more than 18 PPR points. All right, so we get to Titans 32, Texans 27. This is another disappointing game, although I don't really know where this came from for Houston. So although like it wasn't like an ideal matchup because Houston runs the ball at such a high clip on first and second downs more than any other team in the NFL. And if they can't run the ball, then Stroud's always going to be in third and long. And, sometimes he can get out of it. Sometimes he can't. And like Tennessee has some good defensive players. Now they're missing a lot of pieces with 2 injured cornerbacks and their top 2 linebackers were out. But Mixon couldn't run the ball against Tennessee's run defense. Devondre Sweat's awesome. Jeffrey Simmons is incredible. 14 for 22. And then I guess the one positive is that Nico Collins went 5 for 92 and a touchdown. So it looks like he's on his way back. But Stroud just doesn't look quite himself. But I like in matchups where they can run the ball, like he's going to do very well. So this week coming up against Jacksonville, I think Houston's going to look amazing because Jacksonville can't stop the run. Jacksonville can't stop anything, but Stroud is going to be able to do whatever he wants in that game. And Mixon's going to have a monster game. And Mixon's my favorite player in DFS, like regardless of position. I think he's going to be the highest scorer on the slate. Will Levis, he looks amazing at times. And then sometimes you're like, what is this guy doing? That pick six was awful, but he made so many like amazing throws in this game. So I'm almost like thinking at this point, Tennessee's not going to have the top pick in the draft. So no Shedeur Sanders. So at this point, I think they're probably going to be better off because this draft class is kind of bad for quarterbacks. Just to go with Will Levis again and bring in a better backup to, not Mason Rudolph, but, I don't even know who at this point, but maybe something like Daniel Jones, even like, I don't know, like some veteran backup who can start and you'd feel okay about. But Will Levis has so much potential that, if they have another year with him, and give him a better number two receiver, across from Ridley and a better offensive line. The right tackle is horrible. Give him a better right tackle, give him a better receiver too. Then suddenly you might see Levis take the next step. But then again, like he could just be one of these dumb quarterbacks who just makes mistakes all the time. Kind of like a Jeff George for you guys who used to watch football back in the 90s. Jeff George was an amazing talent, but he'd always throw off his back foot. He'd always be good for some interceptions. And then he'd yell at the coaching staff. And then he'd go to another team because the team would fall in love with him because he'd look amazing in practice. And then he would just suck again. Maybe Will Levis is just destined to be Jeff George, but the potential is there. And if he's coached really well, like he has a chance to make it. We always make fun of him with the interception props because like this is what he does. But if someone can hone his skills and make him a good player, it's not impossible. So, if you're comparing him to the prospects in this class, like outside of Shedeur Sanders, I don't know if I take any over Will Levis like right now. Maybe Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward a little bit, but I like Cam Ward a little bit more than Levis. But outside of that, like none of these guys stand out. Like they're just not that good. But by the way, Tony Pollard's his schedule to finish the year is pretty incredible. Like if you have him, or if you're still able to trade, try to get Tony Pollard. His schedule down the stretch in the playoffs and these next two games, he has the Redskins who are awful against the run. He has the Jaguars, as you said, are awful against the run. And he's the Bengals who suck against the run. He has the Colts who suck against the run, and then he has the Jaguars again. Like this guy could go for 100 yards in every single game. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Ridley 5 for 93. He could have. I think he missed out on a reception here, and he could have gotten to 100 plus. But so for Titans, really, it's just Pollard and Ridley at this point. Let's see. What's holding back JT from being top 5? Is that Jonathan Taylor? Who's JT? You have to specify. Swift, Chubb, or ETN? Definitely not ETN. ETN is he sucks. And Tank Bigsby might be back this week. ETN's just not a good player, and so I would avoid him. Swift has a really tough matchup, but he could get a lot of receiving yards, so I'd watch out for that. And then with Chubb against Denver's run defense, I don't like that either. So this is a tough spot. I don't really like any of these guys. I think ETN's my least favorite. I think I'd probably go Swift, but it's close. I go after Justin Fields if I was the Titans. Okay, yeah, it's someone like that. Yeah, someone like him or Daniel Jones, like I said. I don't know who else would be out there, but Sam Darnold's going to be a free agent, right? So maybe they go after him if the Vikings don't re-sign him because they have McCarthy. there are guys out there. I just think they need to give Will Levis a chance with better talent around him. So, all right, let's go to Lions 24, Colts 6. As Evan pointed out on the show yesterday, it felt like the Colts were in the game. They're in the game. They're moving the ball. They settle for field goals early, and then they always like stalled out at midfield. So it was just disappointing to see how that Richardson got there for rushing yards. He didn't help us out a week ago with the rushing yards, but Detroit allows a lot of rushing yards to quarterbacks, which is why I like Caleb Williams over rushing yards tomorrow. Pittman finally looks back, 6 for 96, and what a shame for the Colts because Pittman's been like laboring through his back injury, and he finally looks like he's healthy. And now Josh Downs is injured. So Downs, I believe, hurt his shoulder. He's not been ruled out for Week 13, but I wouldn't really count on him playing. And if he plays, he may not be 100%. Alec Pierce, he went 1 for 39. I think something happened. He had a chance for a deep touchdown, and Richardson just like barely missed him or something, or maybe he dropped that. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he could have had a much better game. Pierce is one of these guys you should be playing in DFS, by the way. Like if he's going to be low owned, because he could just take the top off the ball. There's going to be like 2-3 games this year. We've seen it a couple times where he just goes off, he just goes nuclear, and if you have him, like you're going to be doing great. So in contests, like the perfect like contest to play him in is like the $3 DraftKings contest that pays out 100,000 the first, and there's like 200,000 people in it. Just put Pierce in a few lineups, and if he goes off, then you're gonna have a chance to do something. And if he does 1 for 39, like you still might be able to cash because he's not that expensive. So I'm always I'm a fan of that strategy. Provided that these guys are gonna be low owned. If they're high owned, then don't play them. For the Lions, Montgomery got banged up, so Gibbs is the play Thursday against the Bears. Jared Goff, 26 of 36, 269. Another efficient game for him. St. Brown was a disappointment, 6 for 62, but the Colts are pretty good against slot receivers, so not a big surprise that he didn't do much. Laporta 3 for 19 was I thought a bigger surprise, but he's not been great all year. Plus, he was coming back from injury, so I think he's going to be better this week. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor. So what's holding him back from being top 5? I think that I'm trying to figure this out. So he has he could definitely be top 5. I assume you mean this week. I think Taylor could have a good game. I'm projected for 18 fantasy points in PPR, and he could definitely get there. Patriots are not good against the run. So he has a good matchup. I just like a lot of other running backs this week. I mentioned Joe Mixon, for example. I think he has just an amazing matchup here. And there's so many others. I detailed them in the DraftKings page. You have Kenneth Walker, you have Bijan Robinson if Denzel Perriman's out. You have Saquon Barkley, obviously. It's a tougher matchup, but he could beat any matchup. So I don't really have much of an issue there. If Breece Hall's out, Braylon Allen could have a decent game. But as far as other top guys, you have Bucky. We talked about Bucky Irving. He looks phenomenal. Kyron Williams against the Saints. Saints run defense should be good. Of course, you have Derrick Henry, not a good matchup for him. But again, he could go off. Alvin Kamara, you just saw what Saquon did against the Rams. He has a good matchup. Kenneth Walker looks great this week. The Jets can't tackle. We talked about this yesterday. The Jets have the most missed tackles per game this year. So Walker could have a great game. And then Tony Pollard, he looks great too. So is Vidal the better play for PPR? It's a tough situation. I don't know what Harbaugh's going to do. He's had him inactive. So is he just going to come in and get a bunch of snaps? Maybe. I don't know. It's tough. It's just not a great spot. But and plus Atlanta's better against the run than the pass too. So don't forget about that. Blurpy says pick 4: Tyreek, Debo. By the way, I think Debo's playing hurt. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Keenan Allen. If I start Allen, I'd be starting both Swift and Allen, most likely, and I hate that. Yeah, I get it. I love Allen's matchup on Thursday. He gets the Lions, who are bad against slot receivers, and Allen looks like he's coming on with this new offensive coordinator. So I like Keenan Allen. I would play him. I would play Jacoby Myers. Think he looks good. Devontae Adams. If Breece Hall's out, suddenly there's gonna be some targets available. So I would go with him, and then you're down to Tariq and Debo. And like I said, I think Debo is playing hurt, and Brock Purdy we know is hurt, and Trent Williams we know is really hurt. So it could be a rough game for Debo again. So I think I'd go with Tyreek, and I would just leave Debo out of it. Brunson Burner says start flex Pacheco, Dell, Reed, Gus, or Braylon. So yeah, it's tough here because you have to wait until Friday to know about Breece Hall. But still, even still, like the Seahawks have improved a lot against the run because Leonard Williams is healthy now. So I would not start Gus Edwards. I think he sucks. Plus Vidal might be more involved. So for me, it's between, and plus Pacheco is coming back from injury. He may not get the full snap. So for me, it's Dell versus Reed. And given that the Romeo Doubs is out, I think I'd go Reed. But it's close between Reed and Dell. In order, I would go Reed, Dell, Pacheco, then Braylon, and then Gus. I hate Gus Edwards. I think he's just awful. All right, so all right, we have Broncos 29, Raiders 19. We almost got backdoored by Desmond Ridder, which would have been one of the all-time bad beats here, but luckily we didn't. So we had Gardner Minshew here for a while. He was like pretty mediocre. He made some decent plays, but for the most part, he was Gardner Minshew. He threw a killer interception, which is what he does. Actually, during the game, I thought we had the Minshew interception over a prop, and I was happy about that. And then I realized that I forgot to bet it, and I didn't even post it on the site because I said we're looking for a good number, and for some reason I just forgot to get to it. So that was unfortunate. But Sincere McCormick led the Raiders in rushing. You can tell this team is not what I thought it would be. It's what everyone else thought it would be. I thought we were going to get the Raiders with Devontae Adams and Christian Wilkins and Malcolm Kuntz and obviously Max Crosby and Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers and maybe some upgrades on the offensive line, but like none of that materialized. And Adams is gone. Wilkins was out for a while. Kuntz never played. And Crosby was dealing with an injury for a while. They can't run the ball. This team is just a disaster. Not much else to say here about the Raiders. Brock Bowers 4 for 38. Denver did a good job against him. They kind of focused on him instead of Jacoby Myers, which makes sense. Bo Nix, another good game. He did miss some throws here. He wasn't as great as he was against Atlanta. 25 or 42, 273 and 2 touchdowns. It was a good matchup. So I kind of expected more, but still solid game. And Sutton 8 for 97, 2 touchdowns. He and Nix have been great ever since Sutton had that donut game against the Saints on Thursday Night Football. He's been great, and Devon Vele is separating himself from the other receivers. I know Tom loves little Jordan Humphrey, I think just because of his name, but Devon Vele is playing way more snaps than they have Humphrey or Troy Franklin. Or whoever else they have at receiver, Marvin Mims. Vele is the clear number 2 right now for them. What's not clear is the running game for Denver. Like we thought 2 weeks ago, it was going to be Audric Estime taking over, and then we got rug pulled because Sean Payton went back to Javonte Williams, and then people were like, "Oh, okay, it's going to be Javonte," and they got rug pulled because Julian McLaughlin led the team in rushing yards. So like Javonte Williams, 8 carries, -2 yards. Like imagine starting that. Like you barely broke even in non-PPR. So it's a tough situation. I would just stay away altogether. There's no reason to go here. For Denver, it's only Sutton and Nix and maybe Vele, depending on the size of your league. Like no one else really. Even if Breece is out, you like Reed more than Braylon. So Seattle's defense is legit. Like Leonard Williams getting healthy, they just shut down James Conner. Like I love this. I love the spot that Braylon's in, that he gets to start, and he's really talented. but at the same time, it's such a tough matchup. So I think that people might be disappointed by this. And look, I hope I'm wrong because, like I said, I have Braylon Allen in so many best ball lineups. Like I have him. I probably have him in like 30% of my leagues because I keep drafting him like round 14, 15, 16, just because like as insurance, that's like the area where you take running backs in best ball because you get your Blake Corums and your Ray Davises and your Tyler Algiers and Braylon Allens and Jerome Fords and who else? Justice Hills and like just in case the starters are out. If the starters go out, then you're gold there. Like you have a potential league winner, but I just wish it was against a better opponent because easier opponent because Seattle's run defense looks awesome now. It's been great the past few weeks. Pierce needed 2 scores and virtually ran out the clock trying to get a touchdown. Genius. Yeah, I know. I was like, when it was like 4th down, I was like, okay, they're gonna kick the field goal. Good. And then he went for it. I'm like, what? He just ran out of time. he's not too sharp of a coach, huh? Like it's nice that the players play hard for him, but man, he's lost out there. Okay, well here's some news. Leonard Williams DNP Wednesday. Yeah, so I have not gone through the injury reports yet. I am going to do that after the show's over, and then post my Thursday thoughts. So that is something. Like usually Wednesday, not a huge deal. If he also misses Thursday, and we'll have that update tomorrow with Andy, then suddenly Braylon Allen's going to look a lot better. But at the same time, okay, so here's the thing. You're kind of lucky with Jaden Reed versus Braylon Allen because Jaden Reed plays at 8 o'clock. And so you're going to know Leonard Williams news by then on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you see Leonard Williams DNP again, then I think I might switch out to Braylon Allen. So just keep that in mind. Just watch out for the injury report. Andrew asking which 2 would you start in PPR? Tyreek, DK, or Aaron Jones? So in PPR, Tyreek Hill is just it's so hard to trust him here, especially in the weather where it's going to be windy and cold, and the Dolphins never do well in that situation. Plus, he just doesn't seem like himself. Like this is not vintage Tyreek Hill. He seems a step slower. He's dealing with the wrist injury, he just seems distracted. So Metcalf against the Jets seems like a tough matchup, but the Jets are awful tackling. Sauce Gardner is not himself this year. The only good cornerback is Reed this year. Like Gardner has taken a step back, and Michael Carter looks completely lost. Maybe he's injured, playing hurt. But yeah, the Jets' pass defense is not as great as it once was. So I like Metcalf over Hill. And then for as far as Aaron Jones is concerned, I think I think I'd go Aaron Jones over DK. It's very close between those two. I just can't trust Tyreek Hill at this point. But yeah, you're talking about 2. So yeah, sorry, I missed that. So yeah, I would go DK and Aaron Jones. Plus, you get to wait a little bit and look out for like injury information. Sandra says, I just typed up a really long fantasy question. I realized even I didn't want to read through all that, so I'm typing this instead. Nice. All right. Let's get to the next game. So we have Seattle 16, Arizona 6. So we get to Seattle's run defense here. James Conner, 7 carries, 8 yards. This is what you're staring at if you start Braylon Allen against the Seahawks. Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is a monster. So he's playing out of his mind. Now, if he's out, then suddenly that changes a lot. But yeah, this is why I would not recommend Braylon Allen. Although you see Connor with 5 catches, 41 receiving yards, so he did help you out in PPR. But still, you're going to need like Braylon Allen is not the receiver that James Conner is. He can catch passes, but he's not on that level. But it's a tough matchup. Although Trey McBride 12 for 133. Seattle is so bad against tight ends. So that's the way to attack them. Murray, 24-37. He had a really bad game. He missed a couple throws that were like right there. Like he had Marvin Harrison in the end zone, and he just, I think it was like a back shoulder, and like he missed them completely. And then he had I think he had McBride for a long game. He missed them too. Like he could have had 2 touchdowns on those plays. This game would have been much different, but he was just way off. Maybe it was the caliber of defense. Maybe it was the bye week, like the scenario that Evan always talks about, the win plus bye, usually a bad recipe for teams. And Murray just didn't seem like he was fully into this game. I think he's going to be a lot better against Seattle in 2 weeks, or next week. But yeah, this was just a bad spot for him. So he did not play well. Gino, he was doing well until he threw like this killer interception that allowed Arizona to get back into it. Like he just like forced a stupid pass. Yeah, the Cardinals looked like they had a chance, but then Seattle's defense came up big. Kenneth Walker, 16 for 41. It was a disappointment, but then he also caught 4 for 52. So he made up for that. We talked about Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like him again this week. I mentioned the Jets secondary where Michael Carter just looks awful. So that's the matchup for Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I think that he looks really good. I'm afraid to rank him over Metcalf just because it seems wrong. But at this point, I think that that might be correct for this week only. It's pretty close. So we have Packers 38, 49ers 10. So we already bet Buffalo this week. This could be a similar type game. Now, if Brock Purdy plays, it's going to be closer, but I'd be shocked if Trent Williams plays because we had that tweet from Matt Barrows, who covers the Niners. He does a great job of covering the 49ers. He tweeted out that Trent Williams is on a knee scooter because it hurts for him to walk. Now, this is Wednesday. It's not even Monday, but it's like Wednesday. How is he going to play knowing that? And then also, Barrows pointed out that Fred Warner revealed that he's playing on a fractured ankle. So, like, the Niners tackling has been abysmal. Like, they've been missing players. Like, now Warner is, like, we know that Warner is not 100%. And then we have the whole Brock Purdy, like, saga. We had Nick Bosa not practicing. Like, this team just looks like a complete mess. And it's not like they weren't even playing well with all these guys. Like, and plus, like I said before, I think Devo's playing hurt too. They barely beat the Buccaneers without Evans and Godwin. Like, they blew a lead against Arizona. Like, this team is just not playing well at all. Blew a lead against Seattle too. And so suddenly they have to play the Bills, who are coming off a bye. I know win plus bye, but still, like, the Bills, I think will take the Niners game seriously because they get to say they beat both participants in last year's Super Bowl. It's kind of like a feather in their cap. The only guy playing well here is George Kittle, 6 for 82 and a touchdown. But the Bills are really good against tight ends, so Kittle might be shut down. Like, the Bills shut down Travis Kelce, so Kittle might be next. For the Packers, Jordan Love didn't have to throw all that much. They just ran Josh Jacobs like crazy. Jacobs went 26 for 106 and 3 touchdowns, and he missed a couple of drives. I think he had to get an IV. But yeah, he played great. Dubs was the leading receiver, and he's out. So that's going to open up some stuff for Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson. Like, all these guys will get upticks in production here. Okay, so let's get to the Sunday night game. We have Eagles 37, Rams 20. Saquon Barkley, the 9th most rushing yards in a single game, 255. It's a shame the Rams couldn't keep pace with him because he would have gotten more work later in the fourth quarter, and he could have maybe beaten Adrian Peterson's 296. He had a shot. Like, he could have one more big run. He would have gotten there. He would have been the first running back to have 300 yards in a single game. Now, people are talking about him as MVP. I don't buy it because, he's amazing. But if you take Barkley off the Eagles and replace him with a mediocre running back, they still make the playoffs. I mean, we know that because they made the playoffs last year and the year before with mediocre running backs. If you take Josh Allen off the Bills and replace him with a mediocre quarterback, that team is going like 4-13, like maybe 5-12. Like, the team is not going to be good. If you take Mahomes off the Chiefs, same thing. If you take Lamar Jackson off the Ravens, same thing. You can't compare quarterbacks to running back. It's a shame for Barkley that maybe that keeps him from winning MVP, or who knows, maybe the voters will vote him in. But I don't think he deserves MVP just because of the position. Now, like, he's obviously going to be offensive player of the year unless something crazy happens. So he definitely deserves that. But MVP, he's not the most valuable player. Maybe he's the best player, but he's not the most valuable player. AJ Brown 6.09 and a touchdown was great. There's no Devontae Smith, so I thought Dallas Goedert would do more, but he did catch 4 passes, but his ADOT was so low. He spent some time blocking. That was a disappointment. I thought he'd do a lot more. I like him again against Baltimore, but this was not a very encouraging performance from him. For the Rams, Nakua and Kupp both got there for a while. It looked like they just weren't going to be in the winning DFS lineup. So, of course, Stafford and garbage time gets them there. I love Kupp against the Saints this week, slot receiver matchup. The Saints are the worst team in the NFL against slot receivers. So, usually want to go Nakua over Kupp, but this week I think I'd go the opposite. Kyren Williams, 16 and 72 in a touchdown. Like he finally got into the end zone. I know there was some concern about Kyren Williams. He fell to me in the mid-second round of a best ball draft I did yesterday. So it usually goes like mid-first or late first. He fell to mid-second. And so I thought that was no reaction. I took him. So I think I wouldn't be too worried about him at all. And then we finally get to Ravens 30, Chargers 23. This was my second big error of the week. The first one was Dolphins Patriots, as I mentioned before. Lamar Jackson coming off a loss has been amazing. I even mentioned that. So it was a good spot for a good team. Just stupid to fade that. Jackson, he started slowly, then picked it up. Derrick Henry, he wasn't running. Like at some point, I think it was like the end of the first quarter, maybe it was beginning of the second quarter. Henry had 3 carries and Jackson had like 5 or 6 passes. And I'm like, I almost tweeted this out. I just got caught up in something. I didn't. And I was like, did the Ravens forget about Derrick Henry? Like, why is he not touching the ball? And then they went to him like just promptly. And then they were like, oh yeah, the Chargers don't have Desmond Perriman. We could run the ball all day, and it worked. I mean, Henry went off 24 or 140. He didn't score like for the first time, but he did have a great performance. And then Justice Hill stole the touchdown with a 51-yard rushing touchdown. And then Jackson stole a touchdown as well. So like bad luck for Henry owners. He still got 140, but still he's one of these guys. If he needs to score touchdowns for you, or you're just not going to be too happy. And he usually does score touchdowns. He just didn't do it in this game. So I would expect that he'd bounce back. Maybe not this week against the Eagles, but moving forward. Although week 14 bye, so it'd have to be after that. So with the Chargers, Dobbins got hurt. That ruined their game plan. Not that they necessarily would have won with him, but that it made the offense a lot worse because like I said, Gus Edwards terrible. 9 carries, 11 yards. I love how Dobbins had 3 fewer carries and he had almost quadruple the number of rushing yards that Edwards have. Just like there's no comparison between the two. Dobbins is a really good running back, and Edwards is garbage. Who should not be in the NFL at this point. I don't know what Gus Edwards is doing on an NFL team, really. Like, frankly, it should be Kamani Vidal as the RB2, but really they should have a better option behind Dobbins. It's kind of a joke that Gus Edwards is here. I think he's just here because of the coaching staff. McConkey, 6 for 83, looked good. On the other hand, Quentin Johnson, 5 targets, I think 3 drops, maybe 4, depending on how you want to count them. He got booed by the Charger fans who, reacted for the first time in years about anything. And I was so frustrated because I thought the Chargers had a chance at the cover at the end. But yeah, he dropped a pass that would have gone for like 30 plus yards. And then he dropped the pass on the next drive. By that time, it was over. But, he kind of ruined their chances at the end. But, it's a shame here. I think I still like the Chargers a lot. Like I said before, Dobbins probably going to be out. But I think overall this team is really good. Their defense is awesome. They're really well coached, really well quarterbacked. The offensive line is good when they're not holding nonstop. I don't know what that was about against the Ravens. But the weakness here is that they don't have a receiver one, and you kind of have to wonder where there would be if they decided to draft the Malik Neighbors instead of Joe Walt. Joe Walt's played well, but Malik Neighbors, he looks like the best non-quarterback in this class, I think. So, or at least the best offense player. So, I don't know. I mean, because it's weird because the Chargers, they believe in running the ball and blocking well. And like I said, Joe Walt's really good, but Neighbors has been out of this world with bad quarterbacking. Like, just imagine where he'd be with Justin Herbert. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think if the Chargers, if they were to redo it, not according to them, but like, the consensus, I think they were good neighbors. But teams do have their own philosophies, but it's kind of disappointing that the Chargers didn't trade for a receiver, even if it was like DeAndre Hopkins or something, like someone else to help Justin Herbert, because it's just McConkey, second round receiver, like that's his only real target. That's what's going to kill them. That's going to be their downfall in the playoffs. Like they're going to need to come back, and they can't come back because they have crap receivers. So. They're counting on Will Dissly at this point. And we bet Will Dissly over. He got there toward the end. He got 4 for 47. His receiving yard prop is like 41.5. So he did get there, like I said, but still, like he's usually their second leading receiver, which is just a bad sign. So, all right, guys, it's about it for the show. Kenny did not sign on or text me back, so I really hope things are okay there. Like I said, there was a family medical emergency with him, but like I said, he said that we would have a chance to come on after he got home, but I guess he's still stuck. So let's hope everything's okay with him. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Great meal and everything, and hopefully great bets for football. We're going to be live. Like I said, we're going to be live after the Thanksgiving night game, 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes after the game's over, depending on how quick Andy wraps up with his obligations with the Las Vegas radio show. Chris, thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate it. If Kenny said he might be on, I'm taking that as a good sign. It's not that bad. Wish him the best. 100%. Yeah. So, it was, it's family member had to go to the hospital, but it's hopefully everything's okay. I was really hoping to hear something from him, but yeah. Let's hope everything's okay. So, and we get to have him on next week, and everything's gonna be fine. Enjoy Thanksgiving borscht. There's not going to be borscht on Thanksgiving. Even Russian Thanksgiving does not have borscht. Although, I don't know how other Russian families do it. Like I said, I'm probably the worst Russian you'll ever meet. Just because, I didn't know pumani was even a Russian dish, as John Sanders pointed out. We do like Americanized stuff. My sister's more so into the Russian restaurant scene. I hate Russian restaurants. I've talked about it a lot in Jerks of the Week. I just think the food's gross. It looks terrible. They have these 20-course meals, and the food keeps coming and coming. And you're like, all right, when are we going to get the good stuff? And then you finally get the meat and potatoes, and then they give it to you and they take it away right away. And they put this ugly fish on the plate on the center of the table, and the fish is looking at you. And when we're kids, we're like, oh, we should put a cigarette in his mouth. And it's just so weird. I hate it, but I guess some people like that kind of stuff. But don't you like the pickled stuff or something dumb and on Russian Review? Yeah. I don't like the pickled stuff. Everything's pickled. The pickled Jello. Why? It's so stupid. The pickled watermelon. Pickled everything. It's just. Enough of the pickle stuff. Invent ketchup. Have ketchup there. Or carbonated soda. Every Russian restaurant, they're like, can I have a Coke? It's always flat. They just give it to you flat. There's no carbonation in it. Without failure. Every single restaurant, I've never had a carbonated beverage ever. I've just given up at this point. But luckily, I haven't gone to one in a while. But yeah. Sorry, I can't type in the head. Well, you're doing all the baking, right? So yeah, of course it's gonna be tough to type. But I despise these Russian restaurants. I hate going there. I'd rather just. It's funny whenever we go. One of my cousins' husband, he hates it just as much as I do, and so for some reason I'm always sitting next to him, and we always joke hey, there's a Perkins around the corner. Let's sneak out and let's get a burger. We just joke about that, but I'm half serious when I say it. I don't know, hey, we're gonna go to the bathroom. We'll be back in 45 minutes. So I don't like. It's not my scene, but like I said, people do like it. My sister likes it. It's whatever, but. So anyway, please subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated. Again, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hope you guys let's win all our bets tomorrow, including the mega Thanksgiving parlay. And if I do that, I'll be super happy on the show. I'll win $3,100. I'm not counting on winning it, but it'll be fun, hopefully. So, all right, guys, have a good night, and I will talk tomorrow. And happy Thanksgiving.